Welcome to the Dental Brief, the world's direct, right-to-the-point podcast produced to get you the information you need to learn and grow your practice. To learn more about our guests and find links to information discussed on our show, visit our website, dentalbrief.com. On to today's episode.
Hello, everyone. This is Patrick. Welcome to another episode of the Dental Brief. Today, I have with me Olivia Wann. Olivia Wann, say hello.
Hey, hello, everybody, and thank you for having me, Patrick.
So glad to have you here. Olivia is an attorney in Tennessee. Olivia specializes in HIPAA, in OSHA, in infectious control, and is an attorney, correct?
Yes, I'm licensed in Tennessee and Kentucky, and I've been consulting 20 years nationwide.
And you do consulting, nationwide, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, great. So we're so glad to have you here. We're very grateful to have someone with your level of expertise who can actually give actual factual information that's useful. How did you get into HIPAA compliance and infectious control compliance within medical and dental practices?
Well, I actually worked in a dental office years ago when I was younger. And after having worked 14 years as an office manager and a dental assistant, I went on to work as a trainer. And soon after that, training people how to use dental software, soon after that, I returned to college and earned my bachelor's in healthcare management while starting my own company. And so initially I started in practice management, but I saw that there was a huge need to help people with compliance because it was a very dull, boring, challenging, detailed part of practice management that dental practices needed help with. So I changed gears and focused on that. And then obviously a law degree appealed to me because it has to do with regulatory issues. And so following graduation from my college, I pursued my law degree. And so I have a doctorate in law, and I specialize in working with dental practices. So we stay really busy, especially with all the COVID issues, making sure that people are in compliance, whether that be HIPAA, infection control, or OSHA. So I'm really pleased to speak with you all about some HIPAA concerns today.
Yeah, we couldn't be happier to have you here. I mean, you're the real deal attorney, undergrad in practice, management or administration, worked in a practice. I don't think the resume can get any stronger than that. So I'm going to have you just jump right into the format of our show. And I want you to tell me what's a common problem that you're seeing practices face, or whether they know they have that problem, or it's staring them right in the face. What is something that you see over and over and over again out there?
Well, by means of the risk assessment that we conduct, we have identified repeatedly that dental practices may not have had adequate training. You never graduate with HIPAA training. You have to repeat it. So according to the law, it's periodic training and updates. So that's why we do it annually with our regular clients. And so there's a huge need for training and to incorporate not only HIPAA, but cybersecurity. We also see a problem with business associate agreements. Either they're missing the agreements or they've signed agreements without having an attorney review it, and the terms may not be acceptable or desirable for a dental practice. And then also they're missing policies. So if ever a dental office was audited as a result of a breach, the government would ask to review policies and procedures. And so if these were missing, that would definitely be problematic. So I would say that these are a few areas that we've identified that I hope your listeners can take heed and have these things in place.
Yeah, so it sounds like real quickly, just some kind of almost, this sounds like it's incredibly important, but they're kind of not that difficult to actually get started. BA agreements, you need to be looking at, did you say annual training?
Yes, right,
yeah.
right.
So my guess is that a lot of practices have not been participating in that annual training, especially if they've had the same staff for quite some time. If a practice wanted to take some steps on their own to start to get in compliance, or to even find out if they're in compliance, what would that look like for them? So, practice is listening today and the dentist says, hey, maybe I'm not in compliance. I better look into this. I haven't even thought about it in a month. What are some steps that you would recommend that they take to do a checklist, to do kind of a checkup with their practice to see where they're at?
Well, there may be some resources online for security risk assessments. The tool that we use is proprietary, but NIST has a very detailed assessment online that's free. It's just daunting because it is lengthy and you would need to allocate some time to do it, but it's free. It's a good resource. I mean, these are the people that write the books on it. And so I know that the American Dental Association has some tools. And so we want to take advantage of these assessment tools to identify if the practice has some vulnerabilities and address those. So you don't know if you're sick until you have your temperature taken. Well, likewise, we want to probe different areas of the practice to verify whether you're in compliance or not. And that is really the way to do it, is a security risk assessment. It is required for covered entities. You also may want to check with your IT providers. Some of the IT providers actually offer this service where they can conduct the risk assessment for you. Now, personally, I feel like it's better to have a third party to do that. Sure. Because when we're probing those relationships and those services, we might identify a vulnerability that relates to how your practice is being served. And so some of the IT groups actually prefer a third party so that, for example, the doctor is not doctoring on himself or herself, that type of scenario. So really encourage the listeners to conduct a security risk assessment, and we're happy to conduct those for dental practices as well.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. And I think it's having those tools is awesome. And I think this is something that, like I said, I think, and you would probably agree, a lot of practices don't take as seriously enough as they should. If they wanted to hire an expert to help them with this, I guess typically we'd ask you, what's the process? How should they vet an expert? What is the kind of the checklist that they should go through to make sure who they're talking to is giving them great advice, is really giving them, the highest level of care when it comes to consulting? How would they go about that?
Well, one thing is to make sure that you're dealing with a professional and reputable company. How long have they been around? Because businesses can start up and then leave, and then where would your support be, particularly if you spent any measure of amount of money on this process? You need to know that that company will be there to give you the support that you deserve, having made this investment. So I would ask some questions. How long has this company or firm or individual been in business? It's also good to ask for some recommendations, and maybe it's some clients that they've served previously, to ask if you can get a recommendation. They may even want to preview your work. We've had some practices that want to sample our training program, or they want to sample policy and procedure. And so these are all valid questions to ask. And then, are they even in HIPAA compliance if they trigger being a business associate? So for example, my law practice, if we serve a dentist where I'm representing them, that I have access to identifiable information, then that triggers us to be a business associate. So we have policies and procedures in place. We train our staff. And so we want to make sure that the person that's training us is actually practicing what they preach. So there's many reputable sources out there that I think that dentists could adequately evaluate to see if it meets their needs. And the big thing is support. And I think that's where we really serve clients well, is that it's just not me, Olivia Wann. I have 8 employees. And so if I'm busy, that dental office is not having to wait to the end of the day because I have trained personnel that can address their concerns, because whatever that question is, it's important. They need answers right away. And so making sure that you get that support.
Yeah, it's great advice, great information. So your website, oliviawann.com. I see there's quite a bit of information on here. It's a great way for people to get in contact with you and your staff, your team. We really appreciate you coming on here, Olivia. It's great for you to take the time to give us the time to share this information with our audience, and we really appreciate that. I want to encourage our guests to reach out to Olivia at oliviawann.com. Also, for those of you who prefer just a straight call, the phone number for Olivia's practice is 931-232-4529. Olivia, so grateful to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode. Did you know you can weigh in on today's topic on Facebook? Search The Dental Brief on Facebook or visit our website, dentalbrief.com, and just follow the link. We look forward to having you join us again on another episode of The Dental Brief.